everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a video all about these things, the irons, how you can hit them straighter, be more consistent and all round improve them within your golf game. It's something that I get asked a lot, so I'm going to break it down into basics so it's nice and easy for you. But before we get started, hit that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds to do and it helps me out so much, so thank you. If you haven't already seen my driver video, you can go over and watch that. I'm going to make this very similar. I'm not going to blab a load of technical words to you. I'm going to make it nice and basic for you to take out onto the golf course or even the practice ground to get you hitting your irons the best. So, the irons. There's going to be 4 main parts to this video today. First one being all about setup and ball position. So ball position to me is one of the most important things when it comes to our irons, and it's what gives us that consistency. So here I'm using a mid iron, which I'd class as a 7 iron. So where would I place the ball for my 7 iron? I would like to be just ever so slightly left of centre. The best way to gauge that is pop our toes together, take 1.5 steps forward and 2 steps back. So as I say, it's just ever so slightly left of centre. If you can do that consistently every time with your 7 iron, then that's going to give you a better chance than if you were to just set up to it and not think about it. However, if I was using a long iron, I would want that ball position more forward in our stance. And if I was using a short iron, maybe like a 9 iron pitching wedge, I would go further back in our stance. So when we take our ball position, we want our feet to be just shoulder width apart. So we don't want them to be any wider and we don't want them to be any smaller. So just shoulder width apart is going to give us that lovely stability and enough room to turn. The next part to our setup is the distance away from the ball. We've got our ball position, we've got our feet the right width, but now how do we know how far to stand away from the ball? And it's one of the most common questions that I get asked. A lot of people say they feel too close and they don't know how to judge that. So the best way of doing this, you may have seen me do this before because I trust it so much, is stand with your toes together. So you can see here how the ball is straight in front of the gap in my toes. We don't start it like this, we don't start it like this. Bring the club straight out in front of you after you've taken your grip. And then from there, you just want to bend and drop the club down with your hips, like so. So where that club head lays flat on the ground is where the ball needs to be. So you can see, I just need to shuffle forwards here. Again, you can do that from here, bend from your hips. Perfect. So I'm at the correct distance away. All I need to do is take my stance as we've just spoken about. And now you can see how my hands are hanging freely. We're not stood too close and we've not got this huge separation. We've got our hands dropping nice and freely. The weight is in the balls of our feet. Our knees are naturally bent and we've got this lovely position with our back. Next up, now we've spoken about the setup, we want to talk about body alignment and how do we know that we're aligning perfectly to our target, because there's no point in going through all that setup if you're going to aim in the wrong direction. So the first thing I want you to do is pick your target in the distance and then pick an immediate target in front of you. Why is that? Is that it makes it easier to align your body to a distance that's far away. You can see here, I'm aiming to the flag, okay? But it's a lot easier picking a target just in front to align my body parallel to than it is to that flag in the distance. So I've got my flag, I'm going to draw a line back to my ball to somewhere about here, knowing this little grain of grass also lines me up to my end target. So walking into the ball, placing my club down so it's on line with my immediate target, and then from there all I need to do is set my feet, shoulders, body parallel to the ball, which is also parallel to the flag in the distance. The best way to gauge this is pop your club along your toe line, along your shoulder line. The club head in the distance should run parallel to the flag. So these 2 points should never meet. If they meet, then we're going wrong somewhere. The body's aiming far too much to the right. And again, If it looks something like this, if it's pointing away from the flag, then you're aiming too far to the left. So we just want almost that train track line in between the ball and our body, which sets us perfect to our target. Before we move on to the next point, if you've taken a lot of value from this video and want to see more like this and help support me keep doing what I'm doing, you can check out my Patreon, which I'm going to add the link below. It does help so much, and thank you so much to everyone who's already part of my Patreon family. The link's in the description if you want to check it out. And now we've spoken about the setup and posture, body alignment, now we're going to talk about the technique and how are the irons different to our driver, like we've just spoken in our previous video, and to all the other clubs in our bag. So where you will have seen in the driver video, we want to hit up on the ball to get the maximum distance and the maximum height. Whereas now with our irons, we want to do the opposite. We want to hit down on the ball, taking a divot and hitting the ground. A lot of golfers I speak to say how they're terrified of making any contact with the grass and they feel like they shouldn't do it. But that's what it's there for. You've got to be hitting the ground to get that solid contact like the pros. The best way of thinking of it is hitting the ball first and then the ground. That's the contact that we want. So an ideal divot would work like this. So you'd hit the ball and then there'd be the divot afterwards. Whereas where a lot of golfers I see their divots behind the ball because they're falling back, they're trying to lift the ball in the air, almost like you would with the driver. Where again, we want that ball to ground contact, so our divots are working behind the ball. So again, really thinking about brushing the ground, keeping the club nice and low to the ground, taking that divot after the ball. My two favourite drills for this is the rotation drill, which, very simple. Pop the club on your chest like this, get yourself into set-up position, and really feel that we're working our first shoulder as well, our lead shoulder down towards the ground, and our trail shoulder down towards the ground. So just see how that's making my whole body rotate, and that's where I'm going to get most power and distance out of my shot. And then the second drill is the tee drill. So you may have seen me do this quite a lot because I trust it so much. With irons, woods, even wedges, it just works so good. So pop a tee down in front of the ball. It could be a ball width away, it could be anywhere up to about a club width away. And the aim of this drill is to make contact with the ball and then take the tee. So as we've just mentioned, we want that divot to be behind the ball. So if you're someone that's trying to guide the ball up in the air, trying to help it, you're gonna miss the tee altogether. So take some practice swings. Imagine we've got that tee here and we're really hitting the ball and then hitting the tee. So putting those two drills together, really feeling about our body rotating, and then we wanna hit the ball and then the tee. So it should look a little something like this. That felt good. And finally, we want to think about pre-shot routine. So many golfers I speak to don't have a pre-shot routine, and it's something that I try and teach everyone to do. So pre-shot routine just really helps you visualize your shot, prepare yourself before you set up to the ball, and it just gives you that few seconds to get ready. Putting all those three things together, so setup, technique, body alignment, this is where we put it all together within our pre-shot routine. How my pre-shot routine works is I scope out the hole first. So I'll look for my target, so the flag in the distance, and then picking my immediate target. But in doing that, I'm really conscious of how I want the ball to fly, how I'm visualizing the shot that I want to hit, where I want the ball to land, and then stepping in and setting up to the ball. I like to do this all within 30 seconds. So it's not overcomplicated. I don't overthink the process, and it doesn't give me enough time to doubt myself. So picking my target, picking my immediate target, I then take a practice swing. Again, step behind the ball, set myself up to the ball, so set my club head down first to my immediate target, take my grip, take my stance, visualize how I want the ball to fly to the flag, and then I hit the shot. Okay, so recapping those 4 sections and making it nice and simple for you. First thing we spoke about was ball position, setup and posture. So with our ball position going off our mid-iron, we're going just left of centre. Again, the best way to gauge this is pop our toes together, 1.5 steps forward, 2 steps back. We want our feet to be just shoulder width apart. We want the nice distance away from the ball. So again, club straight out in front, bend from the hips. From here, straight away, I've got the weight in the ball to my feet. My arms are hanging freely and I've got that nice bend to my knees. I'm not stood too far away. I'm not stood too close. And then thinking about our body alignment, we picked our target in the distance. We picked our immediate target just in front. We're setting up our club head to the immediate target, and then we're checking that by making sure our ball and our body is parallel to the target. Next, we spoke about technique. Like we mentioned in the driver video, we want the whole body to work as one. However, now we want to be hitting down on the ball. So just like we've mentioned with that divot, we really want to be making that ball to ground contact with a nice little bit of shaft lean here, which is then going to allow us to take our divot and hit it like the pros. And finally, the most important for me is the pre-shot routine. So how do you approach the ball ready without overthinking? It's a hard game, you don't want to make it any harder. So again, thinking about our end target, our immediate target, taking a practice swing, standing behind the ball, visualising where you want the ball to go, setting up, putting our club down first, taking our stance nice and parallel to our target, and then we just need to fire away. And that is the iron basics. I could have stood here all day and spoken lots more technical terms and gone into a lot more detail, but I wanted to keep it nice and basic for you to understand, take it onto the golf course and really keep it in your mind when you're over the ball. Like I said before, if you want to see more videos like this, the link for my Patreon and social media are down below. And remember, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.